All right, today I'm talking about the Honda 450 RL versus the Honda 450X. Get a lot of questions on which one people should buy. I'm going to break them both down and help you decide which bike is best for you. All right, so we'll start off with the Honda 450 RL. The RL is a modern day design premium dual sport with a great blend of agility and power. The 450 RL is engineered for adventure riding on and off road. The 450 RL is the street legal variant to the 450X. It comes street legal in all 50 states from the factory, and its performance certainly puts it in the top 5 premium dual sports currently on the market. Now, the 450X is an off-road variant of the 450R, Honda's race bikes. The 450X came out in 2005 and is essentially the enduro dirt version the 450RL was derived from. The 450X is 50-state green sticker compliant. It's not street legal from the factory, but it comes from the factory compliant to register as a dirt bike in all 50 states with a green sticker. The 450X is used in prestigious competitions like the Baja 1000 or Works Racing Series. So why do they race the 450X instead of the 450R in Baja? Well, it comes down to the stator. They race the 450X because they want more electric to run powerful lights for racing at night. The 450RL and the 450X come into North America choked up with 38 horsepower to meet federal and state regulations, where the 450R has like 60 horsepower, but it's considered a race bike for closed competition in most states. The 450RL and the 450X can produce the same horsepower numbers as the 450R, but only with aftermarket mods. Let's talk about what's the same on the 450RL versus the 450X. Since they're pretty much the same bike, there's a lot that is the same with some subtle differences. Both have 449cc liquid-cooled single-cylinder 4-stroke engine. Both have 49mm leading axle inverted Showa forks with 12 inches of travel, fully adjustable. Both come with a 6-speed wide ratio transmission, same bore and stroke. Both come programmed fuel injection, same stock gearing and a 13 front and a 51 tooth rear, same brakes. Both have electric start, that same wide aluminum wishbone or twin spar frame to accommodate that 6-speed transmission. Same size wheels with a 21 front and an 18-inch rear. Both have that 2-gallon tank. So lots of things are the same, but what's different about them? First off is the weight. The 450X is 275-pound curb weight. The 450RL weighs 289-pound curb weight, and that is 14-pound difference. And curb weight means it's ready to ride, but that's a 14-pound difference. Not that much. Now, 450X is 5 to 7 pounds heavier than a KTM 500 depending on the version. The Husky and the KTM are slightly different weights. What else is different? Well, the 450X has less rake by almost a whole degree. That more rake angle is designed to give more straight line and high speed stability on the 450RL, which makes it better for street use. The 450X with less rake is designed to handle more aggressive riding with faster turn in, like in single track situations or more trail situations. And the wheelbase is just a touch longer on the 450RL. That's not even a half an inch difference. The 450X has a touch more ground clearance. The seat height is slightly different. 37.2 on the RL, 37.9 on the 450X. What else is different? The 450X does not have all that street legal lights and harness. It has a headlight and a tail light, but it's not the same as the RL that has the LED headlight, the LED brake light, LED blinkers, and wiring harness. The 450X header is bigger than the 450RL, and the muffler does not have a catalytic converter in it like the 450RL, making the 450 exhaust more open and lighter. Also, the 450X has a slightly different swing arm than the 450RL. The 450RL has some foam inside the swing arm to reduce vibration and noise cancellation for on-road riding to meet those EPA regulations. The 450X has the same engine, but it's got different timing and map, so ECU options are not the same. There are less ECU options available for the 450X than the 450RL, but Taco Moto is about to release a Get ECU SX1 version for the 450X, but it's currently in testing. Hopefully it's released by spring of 2025 to the public. The 450RL has a beefy extended metal subframe for carrying gear or luggage, where the 450X has a much smaller subframe. The 450RL has a radiator fan, where the 450X does not have a radiator fan. The 450X is not designed to be sitting at stoplights while running. The 450X is intended to be moving while running like a race bike normally would. And the 450X is $100 cheaper at $999.99 versus the 450RL at $10,099. Okay, so what's the reality between the two? It's a lot easier to make a street legal bike a race bike versus making a race bike a street legal bike. The 450RL will have a better resale value because it is street legal, and that will give it a higher demand and retain its resale value. The 450RL has more aftermarket ECU options. The 450RL also has a lot more aftermarket options, period. Also easier to reduce the weight than to add wiring harnesses and lights. It's also getting harder and harder with more and more states making it more difficult to register a dirt bike to be street legal. So depending on where you live, it's getting harder and harder to make those dirt bikes street legal. And the 450RL weight can be managed to be within a few pounds of the 450X. So how do we make the 450RL a race bike? Well, changing the 450RL exhaust will save you 9 pounds with a Graves aftermarket exhaust. That's leaving a 5-pound difference from the 450RL to the 450X in total weight. So let me repeat that because that's worth mentioning. If you put a full titanium Graves exhaust on a 450RL, you save 9 pounds of the 14 pounds. You're reducing 9 pounds of the 14-pound difference. That leaves you with 5 pounds left over. If you add the Graves full titanium exhaust to the Honda 450RL, that leaves a 5-pound difference between the 450RL and the 450X. Most of that leftover weight difference is the beefy metal subframe on the 450RL that has been added to be able to haul some lightweight gear and luggage. That could be replaced with a 450X subframe to reduce a couple pounds, but I don't recommend it. I think having the subframe is worth it, especially if you're doing any kind of BDR stuff or any kind of carrying any kind of gear. Maybe a pound or two in the lights and wiring, but I don't think it's worth removing. I prefer to be seen when I ride on the road versus saving a pound by removing lights and people not being able to see me as easy. Now, some people are going to want to remove them, and they can. You might shave a pound. You could save a pound also by replacing the swing arm with the 450X swing arm, which would have no foam, and that would save you like a pound, but I don't think that juice is worth the squeeze either. That swing arm kit is over $900 to replace for what, basically a pound, if that. And then the triple clamps can always be replaced with the 450X triple clamps if a rider is actually needing them for a more aggressive turn in on tighter trails. Some people might choose to replace the triple clamps because of that just less than 1 degree difference between the 450X and 450RL. So who is the 450X for? I believe, and most of us at Taco Moto believe, the 450X is for those who are actually racing and want a race bike. They don't need a plate at all. They need the lightest bike possible where every pound counts. Now, we know some people think that they don't need a plate because they just trail ride. But you do need to remember that some trails are only for plated vehicles. And there's more and more trails that are requiring registration to ride on them, right? With a plate, I can ride anywhere in any state, even OHV areas, to trails that require registration, to going on the street, to even just to get fuel. I can go anywhere I want if I have a plate in the US. If I don't have a plate, I'm restricted to where I can legally ride. Now, some guys will still want a 450X and will plate it on their own, but it's a lot of work for just a couple of pounds. Most people will still buy ECUs and exhaust for both bikes, so to say that like a 450X doesn't need an ECU or a pipe is not necessarily true. They both come corked up. The RL is more corked up, but riders will want that extra power from the ECU and aftermarket exhaust on both bikes. Those gains will be less on the 450X, but most people will still want those power gains. And both bikes can be modded with the 450R cam to produce that same horsepower in the high 50s, close to 60s, like the 450R bike. Moto also has a Get SX1 ECU with maps for that R and RX cam mods being released in 2025. So which one should you get? The big question. The 450RL will be the best bike for 90% of the people out there. Why? Because the 450RL weight can be reduced to just a few pounds from the 450X, but it gives you the ability to ride anywhere you want legally, even on the street. Power-wise, they can both be modded to the same horsepower. The 450RL has a lot more aftermarket options, including ECU options. I recommend the 450RL unless you plan on racing. If you plan on racing like the Baja 1000 or building a strictly race bike, the 450X is probably a good decision. Even if you plan on trailering your Honda all the time because you don't like to ride in the road, I believe you still want the benefits of the 450RL. Some people say, oh, I don't ride on the road, but you still want the benefits of the 450RL. So let me know. Let me know if I missed anything. Let me know if you think there's an opinion out there otherwise that I missed that might persuade people to go the other way. But I think the 450RL is the way to go. It's easier to it's easier to reduce weight. It's already street legal. You can go where you want. It's easy to reduce weight. It's easier to reduce even more weight. It's within 5 pounds of the 450X. It's a great all-around bike that can be modded up to the way you want. So comment below if you think I missed anything. Let us know what your favorite bike is between the two and which one would you buy. Comment that down below. And if you liked the video, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I will catch you guys later.